Good morning, good afternoon. This is 3.6 writing linear equations in point slope form. Just a quick reminder on, don't look at that. Oh, nope. Oh, that's just the test we just took. Never mind, doesn't matter. On here, that's the test. On our canvas, it's going to be the 3.6 point slope form. We've split 3.6 into two different sections. So the first section is point slope form. The second section is writing linear equations. We will be first concentrating on point slope form. Okay. So writing linear equations, I can calculate the slope given 2 points and then write the equation in point slope form. So first we have to figure out what point slope form is. There we go. Point slope form is a linear equation written in the form y minus y equals m times the quantity x minus x, where x sub 1 and y sub 1 is a given point in a non-vertical line, and m is the slope of the line. So again, m, oh, that's terrible. M is the slope of the line, just like before, and the point, the x just replaces the x, and the y replaces this y right here. Okay, so when you are in your flippable, we can write these things. So y, it stays y, just like this x stays x. This is the y coordinate from an ordered pair. It has to be the same ordered pair. So if you take the x, you have to take that y. So just this right here gets replaced with the y value. So if it's a negative, you have to put -1, and we'll talk about that later. The slope, you will have to find the slope by doing y minus y, x minus x. If you have a graph, you would do rise over run, or you could also do the change in the y over change of the x. Okay, so write an equation in point slope form for the line with a slope of -4 and passing through the point 3,9. So we know m is -4 because it says slope is -4. So we were going to replace our m with -4. That is right here. Okay, our x from our point is 3, so we replace the x with 3. And our y is 9, so we're replacing our y sub 1 with 9. Sorry. Okay, so it's still y minus the y point, which was 9, equals the slope, or -4, times the quantity x minus 3. Okay, so now this one's a little different with a negative, and I'll show you how that will change our equation. So write an equation in point slope form for the line that passes through -2, 3 with a slope of 4. So our slope is 4. Maybe I should do the same colors, huh? Let's do the same colors. So my slope is pink. Oh, man. So that's going to be replaced on the outside of my parenthesis. Then my x is green. So my x right here is a -2. So I put in here a -2. And then my y, oh, I still did the wrong colors. Oh well. My y is the 3, so it gets replaced here. Let's do this. Look at that. A little better. Alright, so replacing it, this is not how I want it finished. I want it finished as I see a minus, a negative, so that's going to be turned to a positive, because minus a negative is actually adding. So x plus 2. The 3 will stay the same, it will still be y minus 3. Alright, write an equation in point slope form and slope intercept form for the line that passes through -2 or -1, 2 and has a slope of -1. So my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my slope into my equation. I'll put -1, negative 1 for my x, and then I'll put my y for my y right here. Here again, I will change this minus a negative to adding a positive. That's the only thing I'm going to change, and I'm going to leave it in this form. So you can pull out a point and the slope from this form, and you could graph that line. Okay, slope-intercept form we are going to wait on. Our first day, our first assignment, we're going to just do the point-slope form. Okay, write an equation in point-slope form and slope-intercept form, again, just point-slope form, that passes through these 2 points. Well, for point-slope form, you need a point and the slope. Well, we're given a point, so we need the slope. So the slope is going to be, I'm going to subtract my y's on top, and that's where I get 1 minus 9 becomes -8. On bottom, I'm going to subtract my x's. I have to start with the same point. So I started with the 1, so I'm going to start with the 8. So 8 minus a -2. Minus a negative changes to plus. So 8 plus 2 is 10. This can be reduced down to -4 over 5. Both of these were cut in half. So my slope is -4/5. Okay? I can now get this out of here. I'm going to replace, you can choose either this point or this point. We chose this one. So my 8 is going to go in here. My y will be y minus the y, and then my slope gets right here. Okay, write an equation in point-slope form given the following. So 2 things here. You're given 2 points, so point, slope, I need a point. I can choose either one of these, and then the slope, I will have to find out the slope. All right, after you have found the slope by subtracting the y's, there we go, and the x's, you have 12 over -6, which 12 divided by -6 is -2. You then are going to take one of the points and you're going to replace the x point. So the -1 gets replaced, so it's x minus a negative, which turns to a positive. So the x goes here, and the y, it's y minus the y point. And then your slope of -2 is going to go right here. All right, next problem. We have the point 3, 0, and 6, -3. All right. I'm going to first find the slope of the y minus the y. 0 minus a negative. Minus a negative becomes adding. That's why it's a +3. Okay, then we're going to take the first point that I used here, the 0, and I'm going to use that same point here, 3. So 3 minus 6 is going to go down here. 3 minus 6 is a -3. I have a 3 on top and bottom. If I ever have the same number on top and bottom, 3 and 3, it's going to equal 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and I have one negative sign, so my answer is negative. So my slope is a -1. So I'm replacing the m in my equation with -1. Okay, then I'm going to choose a point. I'm going to choose the point without the 0. So 6 and -3, x minus the 6. So x minus 6. This is y minus the negative, which turns to a positive. Okay, writing an equation in point-slope form given the graph. So first you have to find a point. So again, point, slope. You need a point and you need the slope. Well, let's not use. Okay, so slope. So meaning the slope is rise over run. How much am I going up? So the slope is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. Oh, it's going by 2s. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. So here, this number here is a -8. So in between -8 and -10 would be -9. So I'm going up only 1 here. Or if you think about it, I'm going from 0 to -9. How far am I traveling? So I'm traveling up 9 and to the right 6. So I'm going to reduce those down. I'm going to divide both of them by 3. So it's 3 over 2. So my slope is 3 over 2. And I'm going to replace the m with 3 over 2. And then I can choose any point on that line. I want to choose a point that is not, doesn't include a 0. So choose a point in between here. You want to choose a point that crisscrosses here. So I go over 2, that's where I get my 2 here, and then I go down 6 here. So this is -6. I'm looking at this point here, and I'm going to put the x in here. Again, I should change colors. The x here, and the y here, which will turn it to a positive. Okay. Okay, starting here, I'm going to go from one point to the next, go down 1, so that's where I get my -1, and I go to the right 3, so it becomes a positive 3. That's where my -1/3 comes into play. Then I can choose a point on that line. I could have chosen this one or this one, if that, and I'm going to 3, 4 is given, so it's going to go my x minus the x of here, and the first number is your x, so x minus 3 and y minus 4. Okay, your assignment. It's page 225 in numbers 1 through 5, odd. I want you only to do the point slope form part of it. And then 17, 18, 21, 22. If you are finished with that, you can work on Khan Academy or Compass Learning until the bell rings.